Director Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet is a rendition of William Shakespeare's timeless play of the same name and continues to portray the same underlying theme as well, the dangerous power of emotions such as love and hate. With an identical plot to older versions, the emotions of love and hate both serve as major motivators for characters' actions throughout the film. Deep hatred between the families leads to unnecessary violence and death. As for love, it blinded Romeo and Juliet as they decided to take their lives instead of accepting the option of a life without each other. These over-the-top emotions are reflected by a similarly unique film style that consists of unorthodox edits and shots, as well as theatrical dialogue and actor performance. Baz Luhrmann's unique style in his 1998 version of Romeo and Juliet stresses how the intense emotions of love and hate can persuade characters to make drastic and at times dangerous decisions. This film utilizes the exact same dialogue as Shakespeare's original play.
Romeo, oh Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?
As a result, it is oftentimes difficult for modern audiences to comprehend dialogue, resulting in the delivery from the actors becoming vital to understanding the story. For example, let's compare the opening fight scene in the 1968 version to this version.
Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?
I do bite my thumb, sir.
Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?
Huh? Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? I do bite my thumb, sir! Do you bite your thumb at us? Sir.
Note that the dialogue is exactly the same, but the 1998 version comes off as more intense because of the actor's body language and line delivery. On paper, the clips should be very similar since they are showing the same action and dialogue. However, that is not the case. The performances in the 1998 version highlight the intense hatred the two families have for each other, more so than the 1968 version. In the 1968 version, the actors appear to be more reserved and cautious in their decision-making, while the visual hatred in the 1998 version leads directly to outlandish and increasingly violent decisions. Despite having little context on the Montague-Capulet feud, the performances by the actors cues the audience to understand the hatred that is driving the conflict. Mise-en-scène works hand-in-hand with cinematography to further develop the persuasive emotions in the film. One of the major emotions of the film, love, is depicted when Romeo and Juliet are together in her bedroom. This scene showcases bright natural lighting coming through the windows onto the two lovers, visually fitting the mood of the scene to match the shown emotion. The scene has very minimal camera movements that create calmness in order for the viewer to focus on Romeo and Juliet's passionate love for each other. This contrasts to more chaotic scenes, such as the gas station shootout, is truly what establishes director Baz Luhrmann's style as unique. The setting of the scene is in a location which films will stereotypically associate with intimacy. Costumes in the scene, or lack thereof, leads the viewer to assume that intimacy did in fact take place. Despite the fact that the two being seen together could create negative consequences, the characters are being persuaded by the emotion of love to alter their typical actions and proceed to sleep together anyways. Love has blinded Romeo and Juliet. The bright high-key lighting that's utilized with minimal camera movements in this scene help to portray the compelling power that emotion has in the film. Editing plays a major role in effectively portraying emotions and their psychological effect in this film. Take the scene where Romeo kills Tybalt, for example. Romeo is filled with rage and wants to avenge Mercutio's death. The editing is very fast-paced with short shots. This conveys that hate can make a person act brashly without fully considering the consequences. And indeed, Romeo does regret his decision to kill Tybalt, as it leads to him being banished from Verona.
Romeo is banished!
Conversely, take a look at how Romeo behaves when he is under the influence of love. When Romeo first meets Juliet, the pacing of the editing slows down, creating an almost dreamlike effect. This editing decision suggests that love can make a person oblivious to everything that isn't the object of their infatuation. It also isn't a coincidence that Romeo had taken a pill before meeting Juliet. Love is a drug that can cloud a person's mind. The vast differences in editing styles and scenes that resemble the emotion of love versus scenes that resemble hate create such an irregular pattern for the viewer that truly encapsulates the unique style used by director Baz Luhrmann. Emotions affect people's decision-making. In Romeo and Juliet, this theme is taken to the extreme. Romeo and Juliet are oblivious to the potential consequences of their relationship and end up taking their own lives for love. As for the opposing emotion, hatred between the two families leaves characters prepared to take each other's lives at any moment in time. The film's stylistic elements help to effectively convey this theme. The style of the film is unusual and unique because the emotions being shown on screen drive characters to behave and make decisions in unusual ways.
For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.